So what should we call this movie Begin Again for the German market? Neu anfangen? No, let's just give it an English title, but a different one. What about Can a Song Save Your Life? Okay, whatever you say. Hallo, Servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Felicia. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, but I've been living here in Cincinnati, Ohio, on and off since 2016. One thing that I've mentioned many times in my videos before is that American pop culture, especially movies and music, are very present in Germany. This probably has to do with the time period after World War II, when part of Germany was occupied by American soldiers, but it also just has to do with the fact that the US is the creative hub of the Western world, and when it comes to the movie industry, Hollywood is a label for high quality movies worldwide. So when you check out the box office charts in Germany, usually half or more of those movies are going to be American movies. However, even though most Germans understand some English, it's not always good enough to be able to follow a full storyline in the language, which is why English-speaking movies and movies in other languages are usually dubbed for the German-speaking market. And with that, the titles are often translated too. Makes sense, right? The Lion King becomes Der König der Löwen in German. Well, it's not that simple, because while Germans do prefer watching movies and shows in German, the English language makes things sound a lot cooler and more interesting to many of us. Die Schnellen und die Wilden simply doesn't sound nearly as good and dangerous as The Fast and the Furious. Therefore, many English-speaking movies get to keep their English title even in the German version. Also makes sense, right? But sometimes it doesn't really seem to make sense, especially when you'll see an English movie title in Germany, but it's a different English movie title than the original one. So they took the original English title, and instead of keeping it or translating it into German for the German market, they just make it a different English title. Like, what? I'm telling you, this has gotten me into weird situations in the US, like when people would ask me if I've seen a certain movie, and I'd be like, nope, never heard of that, when really I just had no clue that the English title that I knew wasn't the real English title of the movie. And that's why in today's video I want to share 15 movies with you that randomly have an English title in Germany that's different from the original English title. The first movie on my list is from 2002, starring Keira Knightley, and in the original version it's called Bend It Like Beckham, which refers to how David Beckham was known for curving or bending a soccer ball during a free kick. In the German version, it's called Kick It Like Beckham instead, which probably has to do with the fact that most Germans aren't familiar with the term to bend a ball in this context. Many might not even know the word bend at all, but to kick is a very common word, and it's even used in German, so the title Kick It Like Beckham is a lot more understandable to the German audience. Next, we gotta talk about some Marvel movies, because they actually cut out the main character of the movie from the German title. The movie Captain America: The Winter Soldier from 2014 is called The Return of the First Avenger in German, and the one after that, Captain America: Civil War from 2016, is called The First Avenger: Civil War in German. I couldn't really find out why they didn't want to mention Captain America in the German titles, but maybe it had to do with the fact that the first movie of the series is called Avengers: Age of Ultron, and they wanted to keep the term Avengers in the titles of the other movies to make it clear to the German audience that those movies belong together. Who knows? This movie from 2016 was a big success in both Germany and the US. It's called Zootopia in the original version, but on the German market, it's known as Zoomania. Apparently, this has to do with the fact that Zootopia is a registered trademark in Europe. Anyway, in the German version, they called the city that the movie plays in Zoomania instead of Zootopia, and therefore they changed the movie title too. Fun fact, they even changed the name for the British audience and also for many other European countries, where they called it Zootropolis instead. Now, to all of you who are currently thinking about what titles you would have picked for the German market, psst, it's it's never too late. If you're interested in working in the film industry and want to choose those titles, but don't even know how to hold a camera, you can learn almost anything from home nowadays. And one great way to do that is through Skillshare, which is today's sponsor. Skillshare is an online learning community for creatives where millions of members come together to either discover new skills, work on existing passions, or just get lost in creativity. They offer video classes on all kinds of things, including graphic design, music production, web development, entrepreneurship, photography, but also for languages, including German and English, because I know a lot of you guys are trying to improve your language skills. I actually check Skillshare all the time in my free time whenever I have like any question with a software or something like that. I always look for a tutorial, or when I face a challenge with my YouTube channel. That way I just discovered the Skillshare Talks series, and I came across this really cool talk called From Dreaming to Doing with creative freelancer Bonnie Christine, and I could relate to so many things she talked about, like feeling so overwhelmed by all the ideas and things that you could do that you just don't start at all. And it was really inspiring to hear how she overcame that. The cool thing about Skillshare is also that it's curated specifically for learning. So when you take a class, it comes with learning materials and there are no ad breaks. If you would like to join Skillshare as well, make sure to check out the link in the info box below, because the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link will get a free trial of premium membership so that you can explore your creativity. The next movie has led to many misunderstandings for me here in the US. Mean Girls from 2004 with Lindsay Lohan is kind of a pop culture classic among millennials in the US. And when I first came to Cincinnati, some of my roommates made references to the movie and I looked kind of confused, and they said, "It's from the movie Mean Girls." And I had no clue what they were talking about until they showed me the movie and I realized, oh yeah, I had seen this before, but of course it has a different title in Germany. It's called Girls Club Vorsicht Bissig. They probably changed the title because they thought Germans won't know the word mean, as in unfriendly, and the tagline afterwards is something that they love doing when translating titles too. They use an English title to make it sound cool, and then something German to make it even more clear what the movie is about. So this one is called Girls Club Watch Out Snappy, or something along those lines. This one really doesn't seem to make sense because the new English title that they gave the movie in Germany is actually kind of hard for Germans to pronounce. I'm talking about the action thriller Taken from 2008. It's a French movie, but it's in English, therefore the English title Taken, but in German they called it 96 Hours instead. Maybe they thought Germans wouldn't have a clue what to expect from a movie called Taken, but 96 Hours is kind of hard to say, honestly. Even though most Germans probably just say 96 Hours. So the number in German and then the rest with a heavy German accent. Now, this one I can totally understand on the other hand, because the English title really is hard to say and to remember. I still have trouble remembering it to this day. In the English original, it's called Miss Congeniality because at the end of the movie, the contestants of the beauty contest want to tell the main character, played by Sandra Bullock, that she's the winner of their hearts, so they make her Miss Congeniality. The word itself means something like friendliness, but it's not used a lot in English. That's why even I have trouble remembering it, and I can only imagine how confused the German audience would have been by that title, and it's not easy to pronounce either. So in the German version, the movie is called Miss Undercover instead, which makes just as much sense, I feel like, because Sandra Bullock is on an undercover mission in the movie. So for this one, I have to say that I find the German English title just as fitting, and I can 100% understand why they changed it. Let's go back to Marvel. The 2013 movie Thor: The Dark World is called Thor: The Dark Kingdom in Germany. Or actually, Germans pronounce it Thor: The Dark Kingdom. I tried to find out why, and apparently this was simply for legal reasons. Now, this one isn't actually a movie, it's a TV show by Disney that was very popular in Germany, but instead of The Sweet Life of Zac and Cody, it was called Hotel Zac and Cody in Germany. Which is kind of sad, because that way the wordplay with sweet as in a hotel room and sweet as in süß gets lost, but I'm pretty sure that not a lot of Germans would have understood that anyway, because many people think that it's pronounced suit or something like that. Granted, English is a very difficult language, especially when it comes to pronunciation rules. You really can't be sure how an English word is pronounced just by reading it. Since the German Disney Channel was a pay TV channel back then, most people watched the show on Super RTL that also aired other Disney shows like Hannah Montana and Wizards of Waverly Place. This science fiction movie from 2015, starring George Clooney, is all about a theme park called Tomorrowland, and therefore Tomorrowland is also the title of the movie. However, as many of you probably know, there is a huge music festival in Belgium called Tomorrowland, and it seems like that caused some legal issues in Europe and probably also just some confusion, and that's why this movie is called A World Beyond in the German version. The 2011 comedy Horrible Bosses with Jennifer Aniston was pretty successful in Germany, just like it was in the US, but if you asked for that movie in Germany, nobody would even know what you're talking about, and that's because the German title for the movie is Kill the Boss. Maybe this has to do with our German aggression, that we prefer titles that suggest violence in the movie, or maybe it simply has to do with the fact that the word horrible is horribly hard to pronounce for Germans, so Kill the Boss it is. Cradle to the Grave? Okay, grave is where dead bodies are buried, but cradle? No clue. That's why this action movie from 2003 was renamed to Born to Die, keeping the number 2 in the title. Even though I do have to say that Cradle to the Grave, cradle means Wiege in German by the way, does sound a lot deeper, like from when you're a baby to when you die. Ooh. Sticking with another movie that, in the German version, is about being born for something, let's talk about the movie Wild Hogs from 2007 with Tim Allen and John Travolta. Wild Hogs is the original title, and wild hogs are these animals, Wildschweine, but I mean, most Germans don't know that word in English. I mean, who knows the word for that in their second language? So they called the movie Born to be Wild in German. I feel like most Germans have at least heard of this movie before because it used to be on German TV quite a lot. Manhattan Love Story is what it's called in Germany, and it's from 2003, starring Jennifer Lopez. Its original title, however, is Maid in Manhattan. A maid is a Dienstmädchen in German. Some people might know that, but it's definitely not the first word you learn in English class. Everyone does know where Manhattan is though, and what a love story is. Let's stick with love stories and talk about the musical comedy Begin Again with Keira Knightley and Mark Ruffalo that came out in 2013. The funny thing about this is that the movie actually premiered under the title Can a Song Save Your Life at the Toronto International Film Festival, but because people found it hard to remember and misquoted it a lot, it was then changed to Begin Again for the release in the theaters. In Germany, they just kept using the original title, Can a Song Save Your Life? So my little intro sequence earlier wasn't exactly how they came up with that title. Last but not least, I have a movie on my list that I never thought had a different title in the original. I'm talking about the romantic comedy drama Silver Linings Playbook with Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper from 2012. It's only a minor change, but in Germany they called it just Silver Linings instead of Silver Linings Playbook, which I find really interesting because I feel like the expression of a silver lining, Lichtblick, isn't really that well known in Germany in general, so I'm wondering why they didn't change the entire title if they were gonna change it at all. That was the last movie that I had on my list for today. Let me know in the comments below which of these surprised you the most and what other movies have gone through a weird title change when they were released in a different country. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you liked this video by giving it a thumbs up, and of course don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like what I do on here. Other than that, you can always follow me on Instagram and Facebook for more content and support me on Patreon and buymeacoffee.com. Also, if you're interested in movies and actors in general, you should check out this video where I reacted to American celebrities speaking German. Sandra Bullock was one of them. Stay safe and healthy, everyone, and I hope I'll see you next time. Tschüss!